will take a 3-game winning streak to advance. With more, Rocco DeSangro joins us live in Arlington, Texas. Hey, Rocco.
Yeah, what's going on, Morgan? Brandon Hyde wasn't really ready to name a starter until today, and he made the decision to go with Dean Kramer in Game 3 of the ALDS. Kramer was on the mound for the postseason clincher against the Rays, where the Orioles got some help in clinching the postseason, as well as the AL East clincher against the Boston Red Sox. So Kramer has pitched in some big games this season, but none bigger than the one coming up against the Texas Rangers on Tuesday night.
On Sunday, I think, yesterday. Hyder came up to me before the game. He's like, "We're planning on you starting Game 3," and that was that. I mean, I'm honored. I mean, it's been quite a fun season, so just adding to that is best.
As for another update on a pitcher, Felix Bautista underwent successful Tommy John surgery right here in Arlington. As for the rest of the O's, they get ready for that Game 3 matchup with the Texas Rangers on Tuesday night. You can catch the action right here on Fox 45. For now, live in Arlington, Rocco DeSangro for Sports Unlimited.
All right, Rocco, thanks. We'll see you later. As mentioned, tomorrow night, it is here on Fox 45, Game 3 with the season on the line starting at 8. They'd have to win 2 in a row in Texas Tuesday, Wednesday. They bring the series back to Baltimore. If necessary, it comes back here for Game 5 Friday night.
And speaking of which, as we head into Friday night, it looks like the forecast going to be pretty good. Maybe some temperatures in the 70s, falling into the 60s if we have that game time here. Fingers crossed. And then as we head into Saturday, on and off, yes, rain does move in through the day. And then Sunday, too, maybe some stubborn showers and highs only in the 60s. So if you're thinking of heading out to the pumpkin patch, maybe after work on Friday is the best time, 75. But then Saturday, on and off rain, 67 and 62 with scattered showers by Sunday.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6 o'clock, we're following breaking news from the Middle East, the latest coming into our newsroom. Plus, what's changing to keep kids safe? The latest on the fallout from the Morgan State University shooting.
The war in the Middle East rages on, hearing from local leaders about the worldwide impact of this weekend's attacks in Israel. What's being done to keep students safe, the possible changes at Morgan State after a mass shooting, and the latest on the investigation tonight. A man arrested for allegedly hitting a cop with a car. The new developments in an incident that led to police shooting at a suspect last night.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. We continue our coverage on the escalating conflict in the Middle East. This is a live look at Jerusalem tonight, where sirens sounded earlier. You're looking at footage of Israel's strikes in Gaza and the damage done both in Gaza and Israel. 2 days ago, Hamas launched a surprise attack, firing missiles into Israel, attacking civilians in communities near Gaza, and launching an assault on a musical festival where more than 260 people were killed. Hamas also took more than 100 hostages, including Israeli civilians and army officers. The group is threatening to kill hostages if Israel's retaliation against Gaza continues. In response to the attacks, Israel's defense minister launched what he is calling a complete siege of Gaza. According to officials on both sides, more than 900 people have been killed in Israel, 680 in Gaza. More than 3,700 people have been wounded in Gaza as well. UN officials are urging an end to the violence, saying these violent actions will not solve the conflict in the region.
I recognize the legitimate grievances of the Palestinian people, but nothing can justify these acts of terror and the killing, maiming, and abduction of civilians. I reiterate my call to immediately cease these attacks and release all hostages.
And we know at least 11 Americans have been killed in the conflict. Now, the impact of the attacks have been far-reaching. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor has reaction from local leaders and members of impacted communities right here in Maryland.
Well, as you can imagine, this weekend has put the Jewish community across the country and here in Baltimore in a state of mourning. Today, I spoke with one Baltimore resident who says he is so passionate about this country and its people that he planned on moving to Israel later this month. It's a move he still plans to make.
The impacts of unprecedented attacks on war-torn Israel, widespread, as the world watches in horror.
It's been very traumatic, not just for people that are living in Israel, but for us in the Jewish community with family and friends there.
For Eric Rubin, a member of the Baltimore Zionist district.
I was sick to my stomach. I was physically ill, a lot of tears.
A strong connection to his faith has led him to take several trips to Israel.
It is our ancestral homeland.
Some even taken with professional and college athletes in partnership with the National Athletes for Israel nonprofit.
We take them to see the reality on the ground. Unfortunately, people see too much of Israel, of what's going on in the news today. But Israel is one of the most beautiful, diverse countries in the world.
And while religion is what drew him in, he says it's that beauty and culture that swayed him to stay.
It's always been a desire for me to go live there.
In just 3 weeks, Rubin and his wife will be relocating to Tel Aviv, a move Rubin still plans to make, despite the tragedies and impacts the overwhelming violence is having on his loved ones.
One of my friends, Ayal Dror, after 24 years, had finally retired from the IDF. He had to leave his wife and 3 kids to go be stationed at the border with Lebanon, which is now seeing rocket attacks.
Rocket attacks that are also raining down on the location of his new home right now.
I am not going to let terrorists dictate where I live, how I live, the freedoms I have. And the minute that either Americans or Israelis or anyone that appreciates a free society starts caving to terrorists, then they win.
From Mayor Scott to Governor Wes Moore, Maryland leaders taking to social media offering condolences and condemning the violence. And over the weekend, the Associated Jewish Federation of Baltimore spearheading an emergency fund to help with humanitarian needs, including food, medicine, and shelter. Associated President Mark Terrell writing in part, "I apologize for breaking the sanctity of Shabbat and the Jewish holidays, but the horrific news of the attack on Israel and its people warrants that I do so. Our collective response at this critical time will save lives." And according to Rubin,
my friends in Israel they see your social media messages.
In addition to donations, he's asking those wanting to show support, keep posting prayers for peace.
When they know that they have the love and support from family and friends all around the world, and perhaps more importantly, when they have the love and support of strangers, it means a great deal.
And for those who would like to help by donating to that emergency fund, you can find a link to it in this story on our website at foxbaltimore.com. Reporting from the control room, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
And Fox 45 News will continue to follow this breaking story. You can follow along both on air and online at foxbaltimore.com.
We have other breaking news to report right now. Police have identified the suspect in yesterday's police-involved discharging. Police say 25-year-old Willie Millings of Baltimore hit an officer with his vehicle last night. Authorities say officers responded to reports of an armed person around 9 when they say he got into his car and officers tried to stop him. The officer who was hit shot at the suspect, but the suspect wasn't hit. Police say Millings is now facing 2 charges of assaulting a police officer and is being held without bail. That officer is expected to be okay. Mary?
The 2 victims, both 19-year-olds, are not being identified at this time. Neither of the victims were students at Bowie State University or Morgan State University.
Police in Prince George's County continuing to investigate a shooting that injured 2 teens on Bowie State University's campus over homecoming weekend. Investigators are still searching for those responsible. Now, the shooting in Bowie happened just days after 5 people were shot on Morgan State University's campus, prompting the university to cancel homecoming activities. Well, police are still searching for 2 suspects, offering a $9,000 reward for information that leads to an arrest and conviction. And since that shooting, MSU leaders say they have been talking about plans to enhance security on their campus. Alexa Ashwell has new details as well as the latest on the investigation.
Unfortunately, some MSU students yet again exposed to violence over the weekend, traveling to Bowie State because homecoming celebrations here were canceled. Many tell us they welcome the added security measures to campus.
Class resuming here at Morgan State University after last week's mass shooting. The university welcoming students with signs and hugs and police visible and present. Yet a stillness remains.
It's definitely quieter. I have a pretty big class that I just came from, but there was only like 6 of us in there.
A sign not all are ready or feel safe enough to return.
There were 2 shooters in the incident.
Just days ago, police announced a $9,000 reward for information that leads investigators to the 2 suspects who they say shot 5 people, including 4 students, outside Thurgood Marshall Hall October 3rd. As the search continues, university officials are now taking an even harder look at security.
Unfortunately, going forward, Morgan State University will have to look at closing even more significantly ingress and egress opportunities to the campus. We are an open campus in an urban environment, and we now are making plans, as you heard from the chief, to basically now close that.
MSU President Dr. David Wilson and University Police Chief Lance Hatcher revealing discussions have included added security checkpoints, identification requirements, and even enclosing the campus.
We are discussing, as we have in the past, whether we're going to have the members of our community outwardly wear their Bear card, which is our Morgan State University identity card. In addition to that, we're going to be looking at several covert and subvertive measures to determine who may be a visitor, who may be a threat. That goes from metal detectors, whether they're seen and not seen. That goes from having additional security booths placed on campus, as well as moving our Morgan Wall completely around the campus.
That's in addition to the enhanced police presence, including an armed guard at Thurgood Marshall Hall and an added security guard at each of the 5 residential facilities. Security measures that were announced in the days following the mass shooting.
I do think they need a more robust security presence.
Former FBI Dr. Tyrone Powers weighing in, saying enhanced measures on and around MSU's campus is a must.
Following the model of Johns Hopkins, where you have people walking the streets, the corners, the neighborhoods surrounding that particular area to create a presence. Usually when you have a presence like that, there is a deterrent effect in terms of individuals who are willing to pull out guns.
A word of encouragement from the University Chapel. We are here for you. Tomorrow marks 1 week since this mass shooting, and no arrests have been made. I did check with investigators. Officials say they have no updates to report. Reporting from MSU's campus, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington. Coming up, what role did Iran play in Hamas's weekend attacks on Israel?
And if you'll be trying to do a little dinner out this evening, it looks like you're going to need some jackets to grab that. Temperatures falling from the 60s into the 50s, maybe even a couple of light showers around. We're tracking those on the radar right now, minute by minute, in my Weather Authority forecast.
A loophole allows kids to still buy vape products. What you need to know to protect your children.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
They targeted intentionally slaughtering innocent civilians. I mean, the images from this music festival hundreds of young people killed.
Local leaders in Baltimore's Jewish community speaking out on the violence against Israel. Over the weekend, Hamas launched a massive attack on the country, killing civilians, attacking Israeli soldiers, and taking hostages. In response, Israel launched an assault on Gaza. Hundreds of people have been killed in the conflict, and thousands more have been injured by the initial attack and retaliation. Now, the Biden administration's policies towards Iran coming under scrutiny, and questions continue regarding the extent of their involvement in the Palestinian attacks on Israel. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins has the story.
As the smoke from this weekend's horrific attacks settles over Israel, experts on the Middle East tend to agree. There's no way Hamas pulled this off alone. In the immediate aftermath, Hamas leaders went on camera thanking Iran for weapons, money, and rockets that made the attack possible. And while Biden made the United States' position on the conflict clear,
let there be no mistake, the United States stands with the state of Israel.
Critics say his policies towards Iran set the conditions for this unprecedented level of attack.
They are wealthier, richer, and stronger under this Biden administration, and they're using that wealth to fund terrorism, attacking our allies and killing Americans.
At the center of the backlash, $6 billion of Iranian assets freed up in a deal for 5 American hostages. This money meant strictly for humanitarian purposes, but Iran making it clear they can use the funds however they want. Secretary of State Antony Blinken pushing back on the criticism.
The account is closely regulated by the U.S. Treasury Department, so it can only be used for things like food, medicine, medical equipment.
Richard Goldberg with the Foundation for Defense of Democracy says giving Iran access to this money for humanitarian aid frees up money in other areas of their budget, thus allowing more money for funding terrorist organizations.
We should not be allowing Iran, the sponsor of Hamas, the supporter of Hamas, to have any money whatsoever. We should be doing all we can to cut off the supply of cash, both to Tehran and the terrorist organizations themselves.
Well, a Hamas spokesman told the BBC that they had Iran's direct backing, and the Wall Street Journal is reporting Iranian officials spent weeks helping Hamas plan the surprise attacks, but Iran is denying any direct involvement.
Fox Triplecast this evening showing us the Mile 1 Taos Cam, Toyota Ocean Harbor Sky Cam over Camden Yards with some extra clouds, and our latest weather maker. It's moving on in with some showers through the next couple of hours. So if you still have to make that commute home, might have a couple of raindrops, Taneytown, north and east of Westminster, up towards the state line, and then back to Eldersburg as well. Here in Baltimore City, we've had a few sprinkles, especially north, but Edgewood to Aberdeen and then Betterton on the eastern shore, there's more rain. And then as you go west from Ashton to Dayton, into Howard County, down to Laurel, PG County, and edges now of portions of Anne Arundel County starting to get in on the act as well. And I think there's more on and off light rain at least to come over the next couple of hours before the back edge of this works through, which now is located somewhere over western Virginia and eastern West Virginia, and continuing to glide eastbound. After sunset, a lot of this is going to lose some energy as well. So right now it's mostly cloudy as we take a beautiful look over Camden Yards. Hopefully we'll have another game here on Friday when the weather is actually going to warm up nicely. Winds out of the south-southeast at 3 miles an hour. Our humidity at 54%, so that's going to help to hamper any chances of big, heavier rains coming through. But there will be, again, the on and off light rain. You may have to turn on your wipers on into this evening. Temperatures in the 50s to right around 60 area-wide. We did make it to 64. But seasonably, well, we'll say unseasonably cool for this time of year. Should be about 70, so about 5 degrees off of where we should be for this time of year. And that disturbance swinging through with the showers. But warmer weather once that leaves to come. Look at all these 60s, 70s, 80s down to our south and west. And here that comes for tomorrow as this cold pool associated with this latest system continues to gradually erode and move back into Canada. The warmer, drier weather, you're going to see it by the time we get to even tomorrow near 70 and especially the end of this week. Now out in the tropics, we've got a high chance of development out in the eastern tropical Atlantic. I think overall that's going to move north and out into the open Atlantic waters if it becomes a tropical depression, and then a low chance of development in the Bay of Campeche in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico that gradually should move north. You see a little circulation now, but it should interact with a front and fall apart over the next several days. So the next 6 hours, temperatures falling from around 60 back down through the 50s. There could be a stray shower through the remainder of the evening. Otherwise, aside from the on and off showers, cool temperatures falling into the 50s. And then as we head into the overnight, especially after midnight, I think skies clear. And for tomorrow morning, it's just cool again. Temperatures back well into the 40s. So overnight, 46, more clouds than stars. Cool again, could see some showers during the evening. 74 tomorrow. Good day for heading out onto a park bench and having a maybe a bag lunch there. And it looks like a few more of those types of days to last all the way through the week. I'll let you know when rain moves back in my exclusive 10-day forecast.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Check out the thick fog blanketing the valley in Glacier National Park in Montana. People visit Oxbow Bend in Wyoming's Grand Teton National Park for the awesome views. This morning, that also included a layer of fog. As for rainbows, this double rainbow illuminated the sky near Albany, New York. And in Michigan, this viewer found a truck, not a pot of gold, at the end of this rainbow.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
Vaping is on the rise in teens despite the efforts to ban it. The serious health risks doctors say you need to know about. Renewed concern about vaping and kids. The latest data shows numbers are up even though they're illegal for minors. Medical reporter Barbara Morse shows us the possible health consequences that doctors have doctors on high alert.
We are definitely seeing so many kids vaping in our primary care offices.
Allison Heinley is a pediatric primary care doctor.
What they say is that it's the flavors that got them hooked.
But didn't the government ban those? They did back in 2020, the products that used cartridges and pods. That ban does not apply to the newer disposable e-cigs, and that's a problem. of the kids using vapes.
The latest data from 2022 shows that 85% of kids are using those disposable flavored vapes. I think what happens is they use it a few times, or maybe they use it occasionally, but it's really easy to get hooked.
And while the long-term complications of vaping aren't yet known,
we do know that teens who vape are more likely to have respiratory symptoms like coughing, wheezing, phlegm, bronchitis, asthma attacks.